everybody. A warm welcome to another interview on Wisdom from North. I'm Janneke, and today it's such a joy for me to be here with Michael Ford. Michael is an angel intuitive and is the author of Listening to Angels. And he actually said that it was the angels that wrote the book themselves. Now, Michael has this rare ability to help people break the veil and connect to their guides and their angels by actually exiting their human thinking and moving into their hearts and connect with more than 55 different angels and compassionate beings. And I've also had some sessions with Michael myself, and it was a blast. Hello, Michael. How are you today?
Hi, thank you very much for having me on.
It's exciting because I've had many sessions with you, and I finally get to do an interview and talk a little about you, because you've been just, working with me. So I'm very curious to hear your journey and how you actually started to connect with angels and develop this or becoming an angel intuitive. So tell us, where did this start? How did you first get into contact with angels?
Sure, and again, I live in America and I'm from the East Coast, and I was in New York City for a very long time working corporate Wall Street law firm jobs. So I didn't know much about, let's say, Oprah, self-help, the woo-woo or spiritual landscape at all. But I did move to Austin, Texas, to a home I purchased in about 2009 full-time. And from then on, I had a bunch of occurrences happen, a little bit like A Christmas Carol, but I wasn't Scrooge, and I hope I'm not Scrooge. I had a lot of little experiences by the hundreds that eventually meant I was hearing, seeing, feeling, and getting a lot of photographs, 15,000 photographs or more. But it turns out, while I might have been a very slow learner, what takes me 2 years to learn, I'm a very fast teacher in about 2 minutes for others to get what took me so long to understand.
But how do you still open up to angels? You're saying anything is possible, but still there is this mind saying that, well, it's nice if angels are there, but I really don't believe it. Like, I like them to be there, but I don't see them. So how did you really open up to, or actually, like you're saying, exiting that human thinking and opening your heart?
Well, everyone's somewhere in life and they have their belief system, and I think everyone's absolutely good where they are. A lot of people want change, and that's kind of the rub. If you want change, something's actually going to have to change. There's seekers and there's others who they like looking at it from sort of an abstract way, and then there's people who are just forced to jump in and make stuff happen in their life. And this is a very interesting opportunity for folks. They can actually meet angels directly. So by being in their own heart, letting go of a little bit of thinking, they get to actually hear directly all languages spoken. So if it's 5 women from Japan, they get most of their answers in Japanese. I only speak a little bit of French and English, but it's all direct. You get your answers in English, you get hugs, and you get baby stepped along just enough that you get to be in your heart and you get to see. So you get to see like a little bit of light at first, but if you can look out a window, you can see full on standing there. With or without wings, Audrey Hepburn, Archangel Michael, Plato the philosopher, no hugs for him, or Mother Teresa.
So how do you perceive the angels? How do they look like? Do you see them visibly?
I've seen a bunch of different ways. I've seen them as humans in Stockholm and Hawaii and New York and Nantucket. This is at different points in my life. At the time, I wouldn't always have known that it was an angel. It was somebody really nice, either doing something nice, saying something nice, or just being there in a supportive way. Now looking back, it makes sense. That's a lot to take in. So if the listeners can kind of forget about that one, but seeing them as human, it's a lot. But you get to see them full on at a distance. If some people are super good at this right off the bat, they can see 10 feet away, 20 feet away. Multiple people who have done a service individually first. You need to own this. You need to be here and just get out of your thinking and own it. They can see as a group, they can hear as a group, and more. Again, the camera has been a little bit my crutch. I've taken some amazing photography, and again, I used to take a lot of photos when I was a little less secure about it, and it made me feel better. I use those photos as props for other people to look at, and they talk to the photo, listen. The photos can move and change color. A historical photo of Audrey Hepburn can wink or smile. A photo is not supposed to move. So people get it whichever way that they are comfortable or will allow for it.
Okay, so we can perceive them differently in a way.
Yeah, I think since angels are beyond human thinking and human existence, they really have no limits. So they can show up a myriad of ways.
Yeah, let's talk about angels. What are really angels?
If I had to try to peg a definition here, unconditional love, compassion, just a willingness to help, a great sense of humor, actual personality. I know not everyone believes they could have individual personalities, but also zero desire to interfere. So if you want help, you can get the help. You have to ask for it. You have to set your intention to a place that says you really want to do something. You want to get that help. So a scientist can get answers to scientific formulas, plus probably some personal stuff. An athlete can get help for athlete stuff, a doctor for doctor stuff. Business people are my favorite. They're very disciplined. They want their answers for business. A lot of them have family questions. I still think the number one question is where to go on vacation. Maybe it's not this year with everything going on, but for next year, 2021, when everything blows over, where's a good place to go on vacation? I still think that's the number one question to ask.
So how are they able to connect with us? Because what I've heard is that they reside in another dimension, which is much a higher frequency. So, which is, I think, and I believe the reason why we are not so easily connecting as humans with deceased ones, etc. And I've also heard that for deceased, relatives, people we love who have passed on, that they cannot so easily connect with us because they have to kind of lower their frequency in order to meet our density. So I'm curious, how is it possible then that, if that's so, how is it possible then that the angels are kind of descending down here, or we are meeting them when we're vibrating so differently in a sense? And then I'm curious, does it have to do with the heart, that's what you're doing? You're helping actually people move into another frequency.
That's maybe one way to describe it. Certainly helping others to connect better is what I do. It takes a little bit of energy. I get sleepy afterwards. I'm usually saying out loud afterwards, after I've helped someone, hey, that was really easy, no big deal. But another half an hour later, I'm yawning and needing to take a nap. Sometimes I'm out for 15 minutes or 3 hours. I think the record's 3 days, that was once. But back to your question, how is this possible? How do they connect? I mean, maybe we can look at it as a childhood experience. We've all wanted to ride a bike when we were a little kid. We've had an older brother, a friend, a sibling who's doing it. We think that riding a bike is a great idea, but we're a little scared. So we get on the bike, maybe it wobbles and that costs us a few days. We don't want to do it, it's scary. But after a while, we're riding the bike, we get the training wheels off and we're zipping around everywhere, and now we're learning to explore. This is a great metaphor for the heart. You go into that heart, you have no limits. When you're there, you're at a higher frequency. It's when you scored those soccer goals, playing football or soccer as a kid, you did 3 goals in a row, no try. Or art or music or cooking or yoga or anything where you're here having fun, no try. Thinking is a different story. You can think about mowing the grass for a month and stress out. So whatever this is and this, that's the description every philosophy, religion, spiritual group is trying to give you a definition of, but you know it as a light switch in everyday life as you go through life. Angels are just there to help. You simply ask and receive. I guess the big thing that we're discussing is allowing. Can you permit some sort of flexibility in your reality to let something bigger than we could grasp come in and give assistance?
How do we actually go to our hearts? How are we in our hearts? Because
I only have one rule. Besides pen and paper to write down your answers, that's always helpful, but it's not always a practical thing. If I run into somebody at a supermarket, a parking lot, they start talking to me and I'm supposed to help them, pen and paper is not going to happen. But the one thing I do teach is that you own it. You own it as an inner, fearless, peaceful warrior. So you literally state your intentions silently to angels. Just ask angels, trust that they exist, your answers are going to come. But you ask angels for some help. You say something like, you don't have to put your hand on your heart, But you ask angels, angels, help me get out of my head, help me be in my heart, and help me get great answers and more. Thank you. As Americans say, rock and roll. Or if you're religious, amen. Whatever way you personally in your life need to sign it off, you need to own it though. You have to have some intent and some ownership here.
So it's really about the opening up and allowing it to happen and trusting and believing.
Yep, and it doesn't have to be a religious faith. It could be a non-religious faith. To me, it's letting go or allowing. It's the same thing if you and I were not big fans of cooking. We're a little scared of cutting carrots and doing a stew, but we go to a cooking class with a really good chef who's going to show us how it works. If you stay open, you might actually learn a lot of great techniques, a lot of great recipes, have fun, and spread a little bit of joy to the table next to us that they're doing their cooking as well. They have a good time. You make friends. You get to make a lot of friends with angels, and they stick around long after I get done with the person. You can ask the invisible air, are you there? And hear yes, straight from an angel named Joy. You can see her anytime you want. You basically couldn't get lost in the woods again.
So what about those people out there watching this feeling, but I have asked, I've asked so many times, and especially in critical situation, I asked and I didn't feel like I got any help. That can be really like, that can be like hurtful in a way to hear that it's just to ask, and they have asked and they have asked. And I've heard people say this, where are the angels when this happened, and I asked. So what are you feeling about that? Is it then that maybe they were supposed to go through something alone? Or are we not always supposed to get answers, perhaps?
Well, there's a few things in that one. I don't think anyone's ever alone. I know our thinking and our fear and our ego can tell us we're absolutely alone, facing insurmountable obstacles. But look at Eckhart Tolle, the amazing author, or Byron Katie, or Esther Hicks. They all talk about when you're making requests, are you coming from a place of thinking or lack? I have a problem. Or are you coming from the place of the heart where nothing is limited? And you are looking for change. You are looking for the universe to respond. You are looking for growth. Then you're really putting out a request. You're not complaining. You're not saying, no way, Jose. You're saying, I'm ready for some new energy coming in, some help. You actually want the answers. It's like Eat, Pray, Love, the book by Elizabeth Gilbert, with the gentleman who's complaining about not winning the lotto. Every day for a couple of years, he goes to the fountain and he's complaining to the statue at the top of the fountain in Italy, I haven't won the lotto. I haven't won the lotto. 2 years later, the statue comes alive and tells him, why don't you go buy a lotto ticket? So I would argue there's no lack. Yes, there are dire situations. We've all been in them. There's tough situations. There's stress. But the more you can breathe and relax and slow down, the more you can get to hear. When you look back at a lot of the other things you've been through, it tends to make sense. Things tend to work out. So what's great about this is you can get a lot of immediate help with a lot of practical steps of what to do. And I mean no layer of details too minute. You want to ask where to go get a cup of coffee? Maybe not these days, but little thing that's insignificant to you and I, which type of tea to have for my cup of tea, to something really hard. Where am I going to apply for my job? I just lost my job. Angels are there to help. You merely need to know how to quiet down long enough to listen and operate a pen and know how to write. That's it. You get your answers.
Amazing. Yeah, I've actually started to open up ever since I started working with you, I got to say. But it's been a long, it's been really a shift, actually a choice for me that I had to let go of a part of me that was kind of difficult to let go of, because like I said, I really love my rational mind, and I was feeling a lot of resistance, and I don't know what that is about. It's perhaps like losing control, and also I think I was afraid of getting disappointed, like that all of a sudden the angels would not appear for me but for everybody else, for instance. And I didn't want that to happen, so I protected myself. I'm just reflecting now about my resistance. But resistance is always very interesting. Why do we have so much resistance? And also, of course, I come from a very logical family, which is very paradoxically, because I'm doing these interviews, right? I'm doing my work. but still it's like really in my cells to be really like looking for also the science part, like bridging spirituality and science. So that's why like I try to understand, because I really love like quantum physics and stuff. So I really, that helps me understand how it's possible. But it seems
Sure.
like your approach is like, it's just so easy, simple, pure, in a sense where these structures and thoughts are not important. It's just the heart, it's just love. And that like, yeah.
Well, I'm just here to help empower people in an enthusiastic way. You know, if someone's in the hole, they're having a lot of difficulty. My enthusiasm is not the most fun thing to hear for them because they've got a lot of problems or situations. But nevertheless, I help them navigate their internal stuff to get to here because they got to let go. And it doesn't really matter what they let go of. The details hardly matter. Yes, I want people to get answers from angels directly and get all their details. But at the end of the day, happiness based on no reason at all. Unconditional love, unconditional compassion, unconditional happiness for zero reason. No reason at all. That is the name of the game. Are you practicing 1 minute a day would be it? That's all anybody can handle anyhow. Maybe 2 minutes. A full stop, whatever you're doing. Middle of the laundry or you're in the middle of an argument. Can you just go sit somewhere, take a look at a tree, breathe, something, a smile. Call it mindfulness, meditation practice, Thich Nhat Hanh, whoever. But there's something to it, and up to an hour in a day, you're asking a lot for a whole hour spread out over the course of a day with a little less thinking, but that seems to be a very helpful practice. As soon as you slow down, you're inviting life in. Call it just taking a deep breath, feeling a little more presence, like Eckhart Tolle talks about, just allowing a little more of life into the picture. Instead of dental floss, for your connection to life, why not grow it a little? And you know people who you've had to your house or you're at a restaurant, they sparkle. All I'm talking about is a little more laughter, a little more love, a little more contentment with whatever it is that's in front of you. Think 3 feet away from you. That's your presence. Now maybe you can grow it a little and reach 5 feet out. Who knows? But angels are there to help on everything. If you can trust in it, you begin a wonderful journey of both self-exploration and the universe around you. I know there's tons of questions about all that stuff. Can I show a couple of photos of angels and hold them up really fast?
Oh, I'd love to. I know I've seen some of them. They're amazing.
Yeah, I'll just do 2, but this is the first angel people can meet, Joy. And she's the emotion Joy. It's just going to look like a pink ball of light. But that's just one version of many, many, many ways people can see angels. And so she's the emotion Joy, but she's like a communicator or ambassador who helps set the table for the whole experience. And then here's a guardian angel in a different format. I have her as a white ball of light or a metallic ball of light in different formats. But this way you see a silhouette. And she's very quiet, watery. Again, they have all the answers. There's no one or another angel, or if it's Dull Knife, Red Shirt, Mary, Sai Baba from India, Vishnu. There's no one person who needs to be the one that answers your questions. Anybody will suffice. It's not like you have any privacy, but you're also not getting judged. So I think that's very important to know is no one should be scared to ask a question. And I always start off with the easy questions, just puff questions. What do I need to know in life right now? Half the time people here relax, breathe, because they're so worried. They're clutching their paper, they're looking at the photo, they're very, very worried. Am I hearing this right? The ego, the mind doesn't want to let go of control and what they know. I have problems, I'm not happy. They're also, that ego thinking, it's not going to go away, but it can be mollified, it can be quiet. And once you step out of that and you go to your heart, you and I have had tons of great experiences. You know, in your life, you've fallen asleep so many times and have the best night's sleep. That last minute of letting go, you don't wake up the next morning after a great night's sleep and analyze how you let go. You just did it. Same thing with the hot shower, cooking, yoga, skiing cross country, holding hands with someone, seeing a great movie. All those acts you did from here. That's all this is about. It's simplicity, and you get to kick the guru. If I'm a guru, you get to kick me aside. We're still connected energetically, by the way. An Australian did 9 hours, 46 pages of answers. There was no way I was sitting on Skype or FaceTime for 9 hours. I had to check out every 2 hours. I checked back in, and I tell dad jokes to get you to laugh. So this is a very interesting process, as you said, but it's a little intuitive, no pun intended. It just makes sense. and angels do the rest. They're the actual bosses. Everyone's stepping out of their way so they can do their job. They're more available today than they ever were before.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Right. Is that, or I believe we are in a sort of like an awakening and an initiation, and especially in 2020. Is that your impression too, that there's an opening now, and like it's easier to connect with angels now than before, perhaps?
I think so. When I lived in New York and I was doing the corporate job, if you had asked me about any of this, or Gary Zukav, or any of the authors, I wouldn't have been able to say who they were. I wouldn't have known the publishing houses. I hadn't watched Super Soul Sunday. I think all of that is fantastic. It's laid a great landscape or foundation for everyone. But this is what everybody's been seeking out and actually looking for, is that connection, to feel more love. There's a healing component. You ask for your hugs, you get a hug. It could be a goosebump on the back of the neck, the arms, yummy in the tummy. There's 1,000 ways to get a hug, just like there's 1,000 ways to see. But the hugs can build, and you can have stress lifted off of you. A lot of people will cry, not because Mike made them unhappy or said something, but it's because they finally let go of their baggage. They are carrying loads of stress for years, and they didn't even know it necessarily. They just viewed it as a problem. Their cousin, their job, this, that. The details don't usually matter as much as we think. The more you let go and get used to letting go, the more you can be present in the moment, happy for no reason at all. And I'm not trying to be impractical here. We still have to be able to drive the car, go to work, pay the bills, take care of the kids, do this, do that. But there's a time and place for everything, and a lot of it, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, washing the dishes could be done with a smile on the face. Mowing the lawn, smile on the face. Even gardening, it doesn't have to be a chore. So it's how you spend your energy. And this is what I've learned over 8 or 9 years now with 2,000 people. How you spend your energy is how you spend your energy. Or where you put your focus is where you put your focus. So you choose consciously or unconsciously in each moment how you're flowing. And that's the very first exercise I do. Out of one of those Hollywood movies, I just helped a Hollywood film director who was the writer-producer for it. You can see your energy on your fingers, or if you're in India, you can do it this way. You see white light, yellow light, green, blue, colors that don't even have words, that exist but don't exist in the human lexicon. You can see rainbow light, and you can see it on trees, the aura on a person, your dog. You can hear a hummingbird with the listening that you learn with angels. But the point of this is there's more around us all the time. There's more available to us. People can be this much more happy for no reason. And then think of all the reasons. You find out what your unique life path is all about, what you really should be doing that you are already interested in, but maybe we're afraid to pursue. This is that kick in the pants that gets you moving for love, for career, for fun, for just knowing that being you is good enough, that you've already got everything in the tool box right here, and that a little less of this up top, not a big deal.
Exciting. So I mean, I've worked with you, so I know you a bit and how you work. But for everybody watching, tell us a little bit about these different angels. Do they have different skill set in a way? And should we sometimes talk to that angel and just, feel into, okay, this is a romantic question, so I'll ask, this angel instead of that angel?
Yes and no. They all have distinct personalities. I think they get pegged a little too much as to how they are. They do have unique skill sets or areas that you can focus on. There's an angel named Isabel, who's like a calm that you would see on a morning pond or the ocean when it's quiet in the morning, no wind. She's fantastic, good for relationships, stuff like that. I have 3 business angels who help me with business stuff. Charlotte, Rebecca, Archangel Michael. The Native American chiefs, Dolomite, Fred, Geronimo, very earthbound. They're spirits, but they're still unconditional love. They have permission to help you get from point A to point B. So whether we're talking business, relationships, just how to talk to that family member who may not be listening, and you may have too many expectations for that family member. They can help with anything. So I would argue yes and no. Any one of these figures, any single one would be good enough for pages and pages and pages of answers for any topic. But at the same time, I think it's fun to do 3 at a time. You get a lot of flavor, a lot of humor, if you can handle the humor, if it's appropriate. If you're dying and you're on your deathbed and it's your time, I'm sorry to say, you probably won't get as much humor. You're not wanting it. On the other hand, maybe you would. But the point is, there's comfort. There's knowing that the transition, even to the other side, is not as big a deal as we make it out to be. I know that's hard to even fathom, and I will back right off of that. But it's there's a simplicity that's brought to everything that even helps adjust your thinking to how you approach problems or opportunities. No one gets laid off from a job and then calls 100 people to say, I've worked there 30 years, I just got laid off. Nobody says it in a positive way, usually, unless you're that one sparkly person. No one says, hey, this is my opportunity to live life more, to start the company I wanted to start, a new private company, to follow my art, to do this, to do that. Usually humans roll a certain way. I think what we're seeing now is an opportunity for humans to discover their own unique path a little more early in life, to get any help they need. I think there's a health implication here that you can get a little help on that front. I would never say don't go to a doctor and do proper science and medical and everything else. But I just think there's a lot of opportunity here for exploration. I think it takes some guts to go here and to let go of a lot of the judging and the societal criteria that we have to evaluate a phenomenon like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be really like a hero and a really brave to let go, actually. Because like,
yes.
oh, your belief system, it's huge, you know, over your former belief system. Like everybody has told you, all of a sudden, is this possible?
But you get it right back. What's great about this is I wouldn't want to change anybody's beliefs. I think the Buddhists do it the great way, Catholics, Christian, Protestant, you name it, Hindu, everyone's good where they are. It's just yes, no matter who they are, they have to park it for 1 second. Because when you're truly listening, you have to be one with your heart. Otherwise, you're not listening. So when you're listening and you get it in Telugu, you get it in Swahili, you get it in French, you get it in whatever language. It's a vibration that translates to the right choice of words as well. We didn't even mention that. You get it in any language, but you also get the exact right way that you need to hear it at this point in your life so that it resonates. And it doesn't just resonate, it gets you excited. You can feel it. And you're like, that was a good bit of advice. You want more. It's like drinking out of a really good punch bowl at a really good party.
And I actually had a funny story because there was something wrong with my bank and I couldn't like transfer money, and I had to transfer some money, and I was so upset because the customer service was down due to the coronavirus, and I didn't know how to pay this person. And I really don't like being the one who's not like paying her bills, you know? So I was so upset about it. And then I asked the angels, can you please like just sort this out? And then I just heard that in 2 days it will be fine. I forgot about it. And then I was like, oh, it's been 2 days. And I went into the bank and I was just like, everything was sorted out. I was like, what? How is this possible? Like I thought it was going to be this big problem, but it was just solved. Yeah. So that was like an interesting experience.
And there's a lot of little examples that people get to go through of that on their own private time. Once they've sort of let this door get creaked open just a little, and that's my job, is to get it open, and just to help you feel more comfortable. Once the door is open, all sorts of exploration interactions happen. It could happen while you're asleep at night. I call it university classes. It can happen in the middle of the night. It could happen as you're driving around town. There's a lot of humor involved, but a lot's given to you. And endless little stories or anecdotes there. I wish I had more to share, but it's just all a form of compassion and helping you get out of the unconscious mind and into more consciousness, more sharing, more caring, more awareness, more allowing, and more love.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like things are happening these days. I had a major dream last night that was profound. It was a bit scary, but it was huge. I remembered everything. It was like I was alive. It was so clear, and it had a deep, deep message. A deep message. So I definitely feel like something is working with me during the night now, like a bit more than usual. Yeah. So yeah, I think actually we're going to bring on Janet, because Janet has been working with you, and yeah, she's going to share her experience of working with you. So let's bring her on. So now we have Janet Uribe here with us, and she was actually very skeptical towards this, but she gave this a chance, and she had a session with Michael. And today she has really a connection with angels. She's also working with Michael, and I invited her here so you can understand more of Michael's work through Janet's experiences. So welcome here, Janet. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. So I'd love to share, or I'd love for you to share your experience with Michael, and from being someone I can really identify with, like being a bit skeptical, being a bit in the mind, and then really have some amazing results and having your life really changing in many ways, and having a real connection and really like knowing that angels are real and that they're making miracles in your life. So please share a little bit about your experience.
Well, it's really neat. I would say the first time I met Michael, it was very big happenstance. I was actually blind in my left eye, and I don't understand really the dynamic of how he moves energy or what it is that he brings, but he's obviously really well supported. And he told me, he got me into my heart is how I'll describe it, through a couple of jokes. And when I walked away from him, I could see in my left eye, and I thought, what just happened? I was really kind of blown away. I had no idea what that meant. I ran into him again later on and asked him if he could help me or mentor me or anything. I had a session, and before I knew it, within moments, I would describe what looks like a sky breaking down into little particles as opposed to the typical blue sky that you see. And I was seeing energy. And then beyond that, I was seeing orbs. And then I was seeing an angel in the far distance. And then I had another session with him, and I was shocked that I could see more just by being transitioned into my heart. So today I would say it's more than just seeing. I definitely hear. The way that he has taught me to connect has totally changed my life. I have this other side business that has just exploded and done really well just through me asking for support. And I think if there's anything that I can really clarify is that we don't ask for support enough. And when you do, it's kind of unbelievable what you can accomplish.
Wow. And does that mean asking like all the time? Like you said, Mike, like small questions, like even where to go to and have a coffee. Do you do that?
I do. I was picking out a conditioner recently. I have really funny hair. And I asked which one, and I was told, and I was in love with what I was suggested to buy. So, I mean, it's really interesting. Who knows you better than your guide, your group, your support, your angels? They know everything. And when you just stop and really connect, you're just really that much more supported. I can't tell you how supported I am. I mean, something that happened recently is I went to go get gas, and I'm a single mom. I have my 2 jobs and everything. And during all of this pandemic, I think everyone's a little worried about how everything's going to pan out and what will happen. And I just, as I'm pumping my gas, just kind of talking to my angels and talking to my guides. And my gas came out to half the price it should have been. So that's one example. Or I had my radio hijacked one day after leaving Michael. We were working, and I heard, oh gosh, what is the name of the band? Real Life is the band. They're an 80s band. Send Me an Angel. It played maybe 8 or 9 times within a 2-hour window, both on my Pandora station, on the local radio in my car, in the grocery store. It was just everywhere. It was really funny because it's not a station or a song that would come on just randomly happenstance on a certain station, and it just kept coming on, and I was laughing a lot because they have a really good sense of humor too.
So how has your life transformed in a sense? Like, yeah, tell us, like you said something.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is I'm discovering more about my life path. So I connect a lot more with my angels every day, and ask them questions. And I think that's the thing. It's about asking them questions that are worded carefully with your true intent of what you truly desire to know. Sometimes I'll get very short answers, and then I'll realize, wait, that wasn't really the question I wanted to portray. Let me get myself some more detail in there. So I've discovered that I'm a healer. I've discovered some of my talents. they've been helping show me. And something that I think is really neat is that if you're really this connected, that they're very adamant about showing you. The signs are there, the words are there, the answers are there if you're asking.
How did you overcome that chatty mind that was saying that, oh, this is my own voice speaking and this is my ego speaking or sabotaging?
I'll be honest, I think that sometimes you just have to hit these places where you just feel so overwhelmed that you have no other option but to just surrender and just give the mind, throw it in the bin, throw it in the trash, and just ask. You sometimes just have to hit places like that. And then when you're in your heart, it's even easier. If you can just stay in your heart and just really focus. Now I know how to just put my hand there or focus on the energy at hand there and kind of follow it. I always tell Michael as a joke, it's like licking my finger and following the wind. And then I just go, but it's even more direct than that. I actually feel them come in, and I feel anything from temperature changes to something moving that should not have moved. I was at a friend's house recently doing some training, and this lamp kept being unplugged every morning as a very big reminder for me to unplug. And I kept plugging it back in every morning. But there's little signs all the time, every day, that I just am reminded to stop, slow down the thinking, put it aside, or even hand over your thinking. That's another trick that I was just taught by Michael, and the angels come in and tell me all the time, just hand it over. Put it in this wheelbarrow, as Michael says, and send it off with, angels. And they do.
What I get curious about is, what is the ego? Like, we all talk about the ego and the mind and the human thinking. So where did the ego come in the first place? Like, all the thinking, the mind, like, do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, it's a big question, but
I ask the angels about it all the time. What is the purpose of it even being here? Well, I think I've gotten responses of all sorts from various angels. Everything from, your ego serves you the very purpose of staying alive, number one. All you need that to live. Two, and my favorite thing that I heard recently, and I can't remember which angel gave it to me, was the ego is the reminder for you to choose a better path, or to choose a better thought, or to choose to go back into your heart. You have to have the polar opposites. Without that, you can't have the true life that we came here to experience, and you have to vacillate between the two. And so when you do pay attention to the ego and you have that awareness, then it's beautiful, because it's that gift that they're telling you, all right, choose again.
Yeah, it is really that duality that we're experiencing, that we're like now, I think, waking up from and choosing more, and understanding that we do have the power and we can choose. And I guess, I mean, we wouldn't be heroes if there wasn't like something to overcome, or something to, I think this is really the hero's journey. But it's less about like doing and like reaching the goal. It's more like, letting go actually, and going into the heart than fighting. Like all the fairy tales were like, used to learn that we have to fight so much and meet the enemies. But I think it's a more softness to it, like a feminine energy coming in now. So
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. I resonate with that completely. And I think that as more feminine energy is coming in, we're seeing it reflected in society and as a collective, and all of it together, we're really having more perspective, and we're connecting more as we, like, again, the polarity, the duality exists, but we're really getting to our balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how, Michael, how have your life changed after you opened up to angels?
I keep having just one experience after another, not quite handed to me, but I'd say delivered, and I get to meet wonderful folks. I've been helping them for maybe 8+ years now, at least 1,500, maybe 2,000 people, helping them again get their answers, explore angels, get that experience. So it is a little bit like jumping off a cliff into a pond down below, or a little lake. But once you get wet and you realize it doesn't hurt, it's fun, you get over that part, like riding the bike and it wobbling. Today, do we all ride bikes every day, every single day? Probably not. So it's like anything else, learning to tie your shoes, brushing your teeth, falling asleep at night. You just do it. You don't analyze it. So for those who can go for a little extra in life, who need a little zip, a little extra help, or just are excited people to begin with who are adventurous, this is available. And you get great answers, great personality, and you learn to develop or hone your already existing skill set, whether it's communication, intuitive skills. Maybe you're already a great chef as it is, but you can keep going in some other chef directions. You can expand that repertoire. If it's exploring new areas that you were supposed to explore, you were always meant to write that book or to do this or to do that, you get that guidance.
Can we get answers to anything and everything?
I think almost anything. If you're asking about your neighbor's business, definitely if you cross a line somewhere and it's going into somebody else's privacy and it's not really any of your business, you will get told to move on. You'll get a laugh. You'll get a little reminder that just, hey, ask something else, a little more relevant. So it's like talking to your uncles or aunts, really wise ones who are there to help, that are very loving, that there's a figure named Red Shirt, the Native American chief. He's like the gentlest mom in the world. He really is super gentle. Anyone going through a health crisis, divorce, job loss, they tend to really like him. He just speaks so softly, reaches here, and gives you just what you need the right way. So it's the gentlest advice, gentlest touch, gentlest hug. You gravitate to what you gravitate to in life, whether we're talking angels or just how you roll. Again, you can adjust how you roll. You can choose a little bit better, a healthier choice, a slower choice, a more loving, compassionate route in which you're kind to yourself, those around you. I think that's all you can really ask for.
Powerful. And I have to ask one question related to angels falling out of the sky, like darkness and all these sorts of things. Are there dark angels, or is there something to be afraid of? Or is there that just, where we put our energy is where we put our energy, in a sense, when we start?
I think I'd like to answer that as just, focus on the positive and trust that you're being taken care of. I think that's plenty. I certainly wouldn't want to take away from, there's a wide contrast out there. I don't think putting your focus on it too much is helpful. If you're somebody who's into near-death experiences, though, this is a great chance to ask angels about it, to learn whatever questions that can be answered, to have it put in a way that you can understand. There's so many topics, science, or just artists, or people asking about their personal lives. They can get a lot of backstory filled in, a lot of detail for the scientists. A person has to be willing to get out of their conditioning, what they know, just briefly. You get it all right back. That scientist can go right back to being logical 1 hour later or 9 hours later after they've written 45 pages of answers. It's a really attractive opportunity for folks and for man coming up in the years ahead, especially when they can see, hear, and feel as a group.
Interesting. So, last question for today. Do the angels have a message for the audience today? If you can tune in.
I'll go first here, and then I'll just say, and I'm borrowing from like that Listening to Angels book and probably Archangel Michael and others, just that mankind's ready for a little more love and compassion, kindness for all, a little more letting go. It doesn't have to be some massive shift, and it doesn't have to be too woo-woo-woo, but a little more of a relaxed approach to life, less rat race, which is just thinking. Rat race we tend to think of as society and running around, but it really is just our own thinking. If we can be responsible for how we spend our own energy, remember, everyone's worried about the global climate crisis. The real climate crisis is, how are you rolling? Is it up here with too much thinking, judging, negativity? Or is it more smiling, more being a presence and helping others, helping yourself first even, with just peace, love? I would say that's probably the big message, is that mankind is ready for a little more compassion, a little more light, a little more gentleness. I
couldn't agree more. What about you, Janet? Did you get in something that you wanted to share?
Did allow yourselves to be loved and to love. Allow yourselves to give and receive more, and give yourself more self-compassion.
Powerful. Well, thank you so much, both of you. And you're giving sessions, right, Mike, for clients. So if they want, if somebody feels like, I got to do this, they can reach out to you on your website, right?
Yes, and it's amazon.com/author/angels for my author profile instead of the name Michael André Ford. But the website is michaelandreford.com. And I'm on LinkedIn with 40 testimonials. The photos are there at the Amazon profile. And there's also LifeWhisk, WHISK.com, LifeWhisk.com that has some contact info.
Lovely. I'll leave it under the video description so you guys can find it. Well, thank you so much, both of you. It was my pleasure being with you today. Thank you so much for showing up and for your exciting and beautiful and compassionate work.
Oh, thank you, Janneke, for having us. It was so nice to be with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. Much light from Norway and the US. Bye-bye.